Hey, do you like indie horror games? Me too, dude. So, let's talk about it. Specifically, let's talk about Mouthwashing, because this game, for one, has started to take the internet by storm, which I'm very grateful for, because that means I get mouthwashing content. That sounds really weird out of context. Never mind, don't clip that. If you have been living under a rock, or you're just not in the horror game atmosphere like I am, because I have the personality of somebody who's still stuck in their creepypasta phase, let me tell you what it is. Mouthwashing graced the internets with its presence on the 26th of September this year, which is 2024 if you're watching this in the future, but you're probably not. Anyways, before we get started on this topic, I would like to give some basic trigger warnings just in case anybody would be affected by these topics. So let's start with suicide, essay, mentions of alcohol, death in general, cannibal, and Jimmy. Okay, so the characters within this game consist of Curly, Jimmy, Anya, Swansea, and Daisuke. And please don't at me for my pronunciation of Daisuke's name. I am just a humble little idiot. Please don't at me, please. So when you start off the game, you start off as Curly, who is the original captain of this freighter spaceship doing a routine shipment. We don't know what for yet, but that'll come into play later, okay? Curly goes on to notice that their ship is headed straight for an asteroid, and so attempts to divert them away, but fails, because he's a little loser. Just kidding, I don't really actually hate Curly. So with that happening, Curly ends up very disfigured and burned with no hands, no patas, no nothing. His co-captain, or co-pilot, I guess? Yeah. Jimmy becoming the new captain, or, well, more like forcing himself into the space. While completing tasks, you go on to meet Anya, who is the medical professional on board of the Pony Express owned spaceship, just now drifting through space. You also go on to meet Swansea, who is a mechanic, and Daisuke, who is his mechanic in training. Everybody is alive on the ship, and they're all working on very limited resources due to the fact that a lot of it is blocked off by this airbag-like foam that's surrounding all of the breached parts of the ship. You go on to complete tasks as Jimmy, who claims that Curly is the reason that the ship crashed in the first place. Eventually, they break into the shipment container and find out it's literally just mouthwash. Like, miles and miles of freaking mouthwash. Obviously, they end up drinking because, for one, they don't have much water on there, but they also need the sugar, and they literally start getting wasted off of the mouthwash, which I think is literally the funniest thing. Though tensions continued rising on the ship, and Anya eventually traps herself within the medbay with Curly. Leads to Jimmy and convincing Daisuke to help him make a cocktail for Swansea so he could pass out, just knock out, dude, and they could get into the only vent that has access to the medbay. This leads to the sudden discovery that Swansea had been guarding the only cryopod on the ship, where Jimmy obviously comes to the conclusion where he's like, oh my goodness, Swansea was hoarding it for himself. He's stupid! Ah! He forces Daisuke into the vents and is like, go into the medbay, go get Anya, see if she's straight chillin', right? She was in fact not straight chillin', guys. While in the damaged vent, Daisuke gets really, really injured. Homie is probably not gonna survive injured, which I literally almost cried, guys. Like, it was really, really bad. So Jimmy goes on to try and use the mouthwash as an antiseptic, which obviously is gonna, one, really, really hurt, two, not work very well, because mouthwash isn't 100% alcohol. Ooh, that is when you find out that Swansea was actually saving the cryopod for Daisuke because he thought he had the most prominent future ahead of him because he was a nepo baby. Swansea takes it upon himself to put him out of his misery and goes chippity chop with a fire axe. When I tell you I was close to tears, like bawling my eyeballs out, that one picture of the really, really sad anime girl, that was me. After that insane roller coaster of emotions, you are thrust into a flashback where you're Curly before the accident and everybody's celebrating his birthday and it's like, woo, yay! we only get to celebrate one birthday every trip, what? And then he tells everybody that everybody's getting laid off from their jobs because the Pony Express is going under. And rightfully so, everybody's like literally devastated and they're tripping out and they're like, what am I gonna do now? Well, not Daisuke, he's fine, because like I said, he's a Nepo baby and he was kind of forced to work there. Curly and Anya then end up having like a private conversation and you find out that goddamn Jimmy S8 Anya, what the flip, dude? He is literally the worst person to ever exist on this planet that's not actually existing. What the flip? And wanna know what Curly does? Wanna know what Curly does? He goes out to Jimmy and is like, what's up, man? We're best friends. Now tell me about your attraction to fake horses. What? So you're telling me, as the captain of that freaking ship, Curly favors an assaulter over the woman who was assaulted? What? Oh my goodness, I hate this. What is this? And before any Curly apologists hit me up in the comments, because I know you exist, I know you're out there. Don't act like you aren't there. I know you exist, but what the flip, man? You can't deny that that was messed up. He failed as a captain. He really did. Who goes out there and is just like, yeah, sorry you were assaulted, but that's my best friend. Not to mention, she tells Curly, I'm pregnant with this man's baby, and I'm scared. I don't know what else she could have done. She was so clear in asking for help, and she didn't need to do anything else, but flippin' Curly, dude. Ugh. And so Anya goes off to tell Jimmy and is like, hey, I have your child, you know what I mean? And he's just like, I don't care. I hate your guts. You suck. Like, dude, you're the one that sucks nuts here. What? Oh my goodness. And I just feel so bad for Anya. She never did anything to deserve this. She was just a nice, very kind medical professional that was there just to work. That's it. And what? We also come to find out that the reason that the ship crashed is because of Jimmy! It was Jimmy's fault all along, because he was like tripping balls and started like talking crap to Curly, right? And he was just like, you're gonna be fine. Everybody else is getting laid off, but you'll be fine because you're financially stable and I'm not. Da, 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 da. And homie was the reason the ship crashed. What the flip? So, back to the present, right? Fast forward, okay? And Jimmy breaks into the med bay, finds Anya. Oh, she's unalived. She OD'd in the med bay next to Curly. And so, like, the only people alive now, Swansea, Curly, and Jimmy. I forgot to mention, Swansea high-key really wants to unalive Jimmy, which he's kind of real for. Not gonna lie, kind of relate, but that's besides the point. The point is that he wants him dead, and homie's just running about being like, whoa, the woman I assaulted, she's unalived. So then Jimmy goes on to get the gun that Anya had originally hid from him and locked away so he couldn't hurt her. But he gets the gun and he's like, okay, I'm gonna fight off Swansea because he wants to unalive me and hurt me and grr, right? He then gets like all of these moments in time where he's like seeing the words take responsibility over and over and over again, and he's like going through different parts of the ship, kind of losing his marbles. Did he ever really have them? We'll never know. But he's about to kill Swansea, right? Like, he is about to murk this man. And Swansea, in his last breaths, is like, I know I'm a bad person. And I look back on my life and I think about how the only things that, or when I was happy, was when I was drunk and not caring about anything else in the world. Not with my family, not with my children, nothing. And that's why I think high-key he was trying to be like a slight father figure to Daisuke, because he was just like, well, I'm a bad person and I'm not a good father, but at least you have a future. At least he can admit that he's a bad person, unlike some people, Jimmy. So after Swansea, croaks. Jimmy takes it upon himself to take Curly and go on this really like spirally hero complex thing and be like, even though you're like this, I still believe in you and we can make it out together. And like, it's really weird. He's just trying to save Curly, even though Curly's in this catatonic state of pain and suffering, to the point where he has to have medication shoved down his throat so he stops screaming in agonized pain. Jimmy has like this weird vision psychosis thing, right? Where he imagines everybody that's dead and Curly on the table. They're all celebrating his quote-unquote birthday because he's the quote-unquote captain, and he starts slicing up Curly. He starts slicing him up, dude. And it's just like, you're actually bonkers. You're actually like insane, dude. And oh my god. And then later on, he feeds Curly a part of his own leg. What? Then I guess he has like a weird moment of clarity and he's like, oh, I'm gonna save you, Pookie. And so he puts Curly into the cryopod, right? Okay. And then he just murks himself. And it's just like, what the Sigma, dude? And then that's the end. That's it. That's all that's there. So after all of that absurdity, we're just like, well, Curly's frozen now. If you haven't noticed by now, I feel very passionately about this game because I've been fixating on it for so long. I've watched so many playthroughs. It is literally the most interesting thing that I've been thinking about as of lately. And that's saying something, along with my college classes and all the essays that I had to do. But yeah, that's the main plot of Mouthwashing. Obviously, there are other endings, and I personally am not well versed enough to talk about the other endings, but it's okay. Count how many times I said like in this frickin' video, because I'm pretty sure it was over 20 times. Like, I had to cut it out a lot because it was just one after another. It was honestly really embarrassing. If you have any suggestions of games or, let's say, pieces of media that you want me to cover or just talk really passionately about like I did in this video, then feel free to shoot them my way. I really enjoy talking about this kind of stuff. I want to get into more long-form content. I just never have the time. But yeah, now that I finally have the time, I think it'd be a lot of fun. So let me know. And I hope you have a great day and night if you're seeing this at night. Bye.